And
Oh
when
my
it comes
God.
to child transition, this is an abomination. No,
Abomination.
no child can give
Yep.
informed consent. No child can. And the parents who do it for them, they should, I can foresee many broken families, and
Yeah.
also maybe a child will hear, if it's a male to female, they'll hear
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
but you don't become a girl,
No.
you
No.
become this.
Hey everybody, I caught myself another one. So this is going to be quite interesting conversation as they all are. And I just want to again tell you everyone here, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for helping me bring these people on so we can start to get a better conversation going around the insanity that's happening not only in the trans community, but pretty much everywhere these days. So I'm all about conversation. So I have this lovely, lovely human being who reached out to me on X, formerly known as Twitter, and she has a story she really, really wants to share with all of us today. So, hi, Claudia. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure, Buck. I'm
Thank you. So,
delighted.
great, great. So, why don't you just introduce yourself to the people out there, and we can move forward in our conversation. Tell us who you are and what conversation you want to have today.
Okay. My name is Claudia McLean. I was born in Scotland in 1957, so I'm real old, one of the oldest in captivity, all right?
Brilliant, brilliant.
And my story is this. I lived a life filled with violence from the very beginning until I was 18 years old, because you see, I looked like a little girl and I lived in the roughest section of Glasgow. So I faced mob violence. I'm talking about 1,500 against one terrified child. Well,
What?
that went, oh yeah, oh yeah. That went on. I was hated. That went on and until I was 18 years old. By chance, at an inter-university dance, I met the most beautiful man. He looked just like Jesus, who had come down from the cross. His name was Richard, and he rescued me from that terrible place. And we built our lives together. We had 13 wonderful years. But Richard wasn't gay. He fell in love with me. In fact, he was with a woman the night I met him, even though he went home with me. The problem that I had was that he insisted by the age I was 25. By the way, we had a really successful business and career. I sang all over Europe, all over here. And it was a really thriving life. It was lovely. And then I was 25, and he said to me, because he would have affairs with women, which would terrify me, and he would threaten me that I would lose him to one of these women. So at age 25, I still didn't look male. This is the face I was born with, right?
Okay, great.
And he said, if you change, I'll marry you. There'll be no other women because you're the one. We've made our life together. Well, I never believed I was a girl. I knew that I was a boy who was total crap about being a boy. I was terrible at it. All my emotional responses seemed to be in the wrong place. That allied to what I looked like, and it took a year for him to convince me. So at the age of 26, this wonderful man and I had what they called gender reassignment surgery in England in those days. We had to move from Scotland to England in order to do this. And we had a wonderful year afterwards, and then he abandoned me. And I was only 1 year old, if you see what I mean. And I had if I wasn't Richard's wife, who the hell was I? I see the young people, I'm really, he would say to me afterwards, have you forgiven me? I said, well, I understand that people can stop loving each other, but that didn't happen to me, right? But I cannot forgive him for my body being diced and spliced, losing complete human fulfillment, losing that joy Nothing ever. What I'm left with now is 1 millionth part of what I knew as human satisfaction as a boy. So we split up. I come from an Irish Catholic family, and I gave away all my coloured clothes, and I've never worn colour since. I live in mourning. I'm not only mourning that lost relationship, I'm mourning the loss of my body. That's what he did. I cannot comprehend. And he really loved me. I watched him tear his heart out of his chest to leave me, but leave me he did. And guess what?
Wow.
The moment I wasn't Richard's wife, all that violence came back. All of it. I took a job in London's biggest nightclub called the Hippodrome for a famous club owner called Peter Stringfellow.
Yep.
I started as a humble waitress, whereas before, for 3 years, I had been the resident prima donna because I sing operatic music at the same pitch as a woman, right?
Wow.
So I went from being the star of the show to the lowest waitress. I was often attacked at work because the girl waitresses hated me. And they would tell my customers at the end of the night that I used to be a boy. And I got beat up so many different times in 2 years.
What year was that? That was
well, I had the surgery in. Oh no, what year did I start working for Mr. Stringfellow as a waitress? It would be 1987.
Okay, and you had your transition. Do you remember what year your transition surgery was?
Yes, I can tell you the exact date. The 25th of March, 1986.
Wow. Okay.
After only one consultation with the psychiatrist, who said to me in the hour that we spent together that I would be one of the most successful because of what I look like.
Yeah.
But you see, what I look like and what I am are two completely different things. There it is.
I hear you.
And he actually was disciplined. I led, with Julie Bindle, and Harriet Wistrich, I led a complaint against him at the GMC, and he was no longer there.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I was in litigation for years for him to do it, to get rid of him. And this didn't happen until what I'm telling you about the violence at work.
Yeah.
It got to such a stage that one night a guy who was torturing another trans waitress, we were there because we were different. We weren't there because they thought that we were such women, right? You've got to be real.
That's right.
And this guy was torturing this other girl, God help her. And I said to the boy, hey, we're all here to have fun, right? I said, and it's a great place. So he attacked me viciously. I was beaten up. I went downstairs and pulled myself together, went back upstairs and tried to work. He managed to be to get through security wearing different clothes, and he came back with a vengeance. The attack in the end ended with him who does this? What I'm going to tell you. He had in his hand a tear gas canister. Oh my God. I instantly knew, I mean, I was badly beaten up and bleeding and God knows what. But I instantly knew that this was bad news. So I managed to spring backwards. This tear gas only touched me across here. And it was like you were being burned alive.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, my security detail who came to save me, all of those boys got it in the face. And there was one Italian boy, he clawed at his eyes until they bled, by which point I was hysterical. Because I couldn't, first of all, who would bear such ill will to me? And also without even considering the other people. And imagine letting off a tear gas canister in an enclosed space. So great was the confusion that he escaped. At this point, my temper took me. I told Mr. Stringfellow's nephew, if you don't tell him to give me the host job, which was up for offer, I said I'd go to the newspapers and I'll expose it all.
Wow.
So Within 1 year, I went from the lowest waitress to the highest paid executive in his company.
Excellent job.
But all the while, Richard was in my life. You see, although we had stopped living together, we were still lovers. And that lovemaking became a life raft for me. And that's all I had that could keep me going. You see, Buck, he was my whole life.
Sure.
I was left with less than nothing. But 2 years after we split in 87, and at my birthday in November in 89, while in bed with me and aroused, he told me that he could never touch me again. And my world fell apart.
Oh.
And by the January, I was with my mother in Glasgow, and she just was in despair. She said she'd never seen the loss of a spouse affect anyone so badly.
Sure.
All these years later, I'm trying to talk to you and not cry.
I know. I feel it. I feel it. I want to cry. I want to cry because it's so devastating. Can I just ask you this? Why do you think he left you after? It seems like he left you after you decided to transition. He's not gay. You told me he wasn't gay.
He's not gay. No.
Yet
he had found another woman. And for the 2 years, he went between us both until that last terrible night. I was destroyed. So back to Glasgow and heartbroken. And 5 months in, my mother had a stroke. And before I knew where I was, the heartbroken widow was actually having to care for my own mother because my mum told me that they weren't treating her right in the stroke unit, right? So I had her legally released into my care, and I was responsible for her. That took up the next 12 years of my life. I was unemployable. I didn't care if I lived or died. I would have taken any drug, any drink, anything for oblivion. And all the while I nursed my mother, I wept all through the whole thing. So that's what happened to me. What bothers me for the young people is they don't know what they're getting into. And in some horrible way, they seem to think it's fashionable.
I know.
This is no reason for anyone to change. No, and I should never have been allowed to change to facilitate a relationship. So that's why I feel so strongly for the young people. I hear them on the things that I see on X, and I'm absolutely horrified by some of the things I'm hearing and the amount of acceptance that they seem to need to demand.
That's right.
You know, if I had stayed in Scotland, I would never have been able to walk away from who I used to be because I was quite famous because I sing, right?
Okay.
And so I opted for exile from my homeland to live in London and to do this thing. And it meant, and this is what those going into it don't realize. Even if you stop your hormones, all of that, you can never recover who you used to be mentally.
That's right. Great point.
Never.
That's what kids need to hear. They don't understand.
And every one of the detransitioners, every single one of them, once they stop and everything, they cannot go back to who they were. I have a rich inner life. I sing in 5 languages. Right? I'm a great one for a good book. I love history.
I know.
That's all of that, right?
Yeah.
But my God, those poor children. And when it comes to child transition, this is an abomination. No child can give informed consent. No child can. And the parents who do it for them, they should. I can foresee many broken families, and also maybe a child will hear, if it's a male to female, they'll hear girl, but you don't become a girl. You become this. There it
Thank you.
is.
That's what
And
every young person needs to hear from you, who is an elder of the community. You transitioned before me, and also before all these people even knew what trans was. This is so. I just want to, Claudia. I have to first off thank you for stepping up and having this conversation with me, because I can't imagine the things you're seeing. The things I see, it freaks me out. It must freak you out even beyond, but they need to hear from somebody like you who's lived this long life. What you're saying is the reality of transition. They're not getting this information at all.
they're not. And
No.
not only, and actually, in this country, in the
Yeah.
UK,
Yeah.
it can be done on the health service, right?
Oh my God.
That
Yep.
means public money. If
Yep.
I had, I paid
Yep.
for everything. The reason
Yep.
being, I realized from the beginning, what if I go through this and it doesn't somehow work for me? And
That's
my conscience would have killed me that
right.
I had used public money. I wouldn't be alive today, Buck, if I hadn't done it, what I did
I
with my
know.
own money.
Yeah.
And without Richard, the change was meaningless. That's
So
the
let me
truth.
ask you that. Do you somehow feel like you needed to transition also because of Richard?
Oh,
Do you
he
feel
was the
that?
reason. He demanded it of me.
He
Either that or
demanded
he
it.
would. Oh, yeah. And when it came to the crunch, I said to him, "Look, I don't really have to do this. We got the money's not a problem."
Sure.
I said, "I don't really have to do this." And his answer to me 7 days before surgery was, "You ready?
Yeah.
If you don't do it, I'll leave. If you do it, I might stay."
Ew, actually gross. Like, I'm so what? That's manipulative on so many levels, and you're in a very vulnerable space. And then the doctor didn't even give you therapy; they just did it. And can I ask you? I mean, I'm kind of getting this feeling from you that you might not have done it if maybe
No,
Richard.
no.
You
Because
wouldn't have.
actually, I was very good at living as a girl. Look at me, Buck.
Without
I
that's
would
right. Without the transition, you could have totally lived
lived
as a
as a
woman.
girl,
That's
of
right.
course, and
Yeah.
maintained my career, all
Yeah.
of those things.
Yeah.
Instead, I lost the world. Those poor children, my God.
Dear
I
God.
foresee many, I foresee so much unhappiness,
I know.
even,
I
you
know.
know?
I know.
And we know what the cost of transition is because we've
That's
both
right.
gone through it. And
That's right.
that's why I needed to talk to you because we're actually kind of in the same place, although
We
we're
are.
very different people, right?
Yeah.
And I so admire what you do for the young ones and how that you had what you say after the interviews
Yeah.
is always insightful and always fair.
Thank you.
You cannot expect the world to accept what you've done. As I say, I chose exile, so I never have
Yes.
to. I never have to face my former self.
Yes.
But these days, people want to do it on their holidays and go back to work as a different person.
I know.
Can you imagine?
No.
And then they get all worked up when they don't get the acceptance they
That's
want.
right. That's
They're
right.
asking for too much, Buck.
Too much. I know. Me and you both know that it's not going to ever happen. And Claudia and I have been doing this for a long time. We understand how to navigate the world. The world isn't going to accept you unless you first off accept yourself, which we have when we know exactly who and what we are. Then there's going to be people in the world who will always dislike you, who will also possibly maybe like you. But if you are only traveling the world for some type of acceptance, you're never going to get it. This isn't
Never.
about that. This is about how do you figure out how you need to walk the world in order for you to be a productive person, part of society. That's what transitioning is all about. It's not getting accolades from the world. It's about that's the reason. I mean, God, we both transitioned before social media. Thank
Oh
God.
yeah, yeah.
Thank God. These kids are being completely lied to. They're being completely told something that isn't true. They're being manipulated by adults. This is the part that I'm so shocked that the trans, it's not a community, Claudia. It's
It's
something
never
else.
was. It's called a scene.
A
Also,
scene.
yeah, and I must make this point.
A
The
scene.
ones who are with women and they want to change and call themselves Louise and stay with the wife and children.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate coercive control of a woman and her children. Imagine doing that.
No,
Imagine.
not okay. It's not
That's,
okay.
no, it's not. You have to take responsibility for yourself. Actually, I'm really lucky. I go around unnoticed, and look at me. I'll be 66 in a few days, right?
Wow, you look amazing. Oh, wow.
And
wow.
This is the face I was born with.
It's amazing. You look amazing. I know. You're beautiful. You're really beautiful.
I look like my mother, thank God. Eh?
Those Scottish roots.
Yes.
Right on. My grandfather is Scottish. That's so awesome. Wow, what a story, Claudia. So I'm so weirded out by Richard sort of because Richard wasn't gay, but he was attracted to you because you're feminine self. You have this feminine energy, and then he just couldn't be with a guy, so he sort of said to you, "You need to do this," and you do it, and then eventually he leaves you for another woman who's a biological woman, right? Not a trans woman. But did you ever live as a trans woman, or you just lived as a person? Did you walk? I mean, you didn't walk around saying I'm a trans woman, did you?
No, and also I've stopped using that terminology. I will not appropriate the word woman, for I am not one.
Right
I'm a transsexual.
Excellent. I love you even more. Me too. I'm a biological female. I just look this way so that people won't see me as a woman.
But Buck, who would ever know to look at you?
Well, that's the point. Thank you. We're both in the same space.
Same boat. Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
I'm so glad that I'm making some sense for you, darling.
Oh my God. Everything you're saying is so powerful. It's like, this is such a powerful message that everyone needs to hear. And it means a lot to me that you see me and that you contacted me and that you're willing to have, not an easy conversation at all. This is like so devastating what happened to you. And then being with your mother for how many years did you take care of your mom? A long time.
I nursed her for 12 years with my own hands. And when Richard's mother fell ill, she was much older than my mother, by the way.
Okay.
When Richard's mother fell ill, I nursed her for 5 years.
Wow. Is Richard still in your life?
No.
No. You just had to disconnect from him?
No. He just had to disconnect from me.
And he's never spoken to you again?
It's like he died.
Oh
and
God,
and how about I'm looking after his mother and he's not.
Wow. I mean, that just says a lot about you and him, to be honest with you.
I
wow.
loved her so much. I loved her so much. Do you know something, Buck? I call my time with these women treasure, because it was such a great privilege to be able to look after them. Richard's mother died in my arms.
Wow.
It was the end of the world. Wow. The end of the world. Somehow. Go on.
Well, no, you were given that's a gift to take care of people like that, and you have it in your heart. I feel that from you. You're a caregiver. You care, and that's
I just can't stop myself.
Well, no, that's a special gift. That's a gift, friend, especially in this day and age when people seem only to care about themselves. But you don't care about yourself. That's why you're sitting with me, because you transitioned such a long time ago. This is what people don't understand. We have a different vantage point. We transitioned here. They're transitioning here. You would think that they would want to hear from us. So, Claudia, this is why I say there's some manipulation going on with these young people. There's also, it's very cult-like behavior. I don't want to say it's a cult, but it's cult-like behavior when there's this behavioral control that they have over these young people, right? When they start calling me transphobic, young trans people call me transphobic. That's a bad sign right there. That says something is amiss in this scene.
And what I was saying about the ones who marry compared to the ones like me who was born to love men, right?
Yes.
These two groups do not mix well, ever.
That's
And
right.
guess who it is that got all the legislation for gender changing and everything in England?
That's right.
It was the ones who married and called themselves Louise and stayed with the children.
That's
Do you know what?
exactly
Do you
who.
know? Do you know what I did? I had surgery. I had my year with Richard. We were lovers 2 years later until that terrible night. And then somehow or another, I just had to pick up the pieces and keep going. That's
Yeah,
it. I
that's
wouldn't
right.
wish what happened to me on for anybody.
Do you think
Not
if
for
Richard
anybody.
do you think if Richard didn't want you to transition, you wouldn't have transitioned? I think I asked
Of
you that.
course not. I was. Do you know what I loved? Right, the singing. It was a female impersonation show that
Oh.
Richard that Richard manufactured. He heard me sing, and I went to a choir school, and I sang more or less every day in the
Mhm,
church.
mhm.
That gave me the foundations of technique to do what I did. So
Okay.
in those days everything was cabaret. So he got this cabaret thing where
Mhm.
I was never billed as drag or anything. I was a specialty singer. So I would sing as a woman. There's an upbeat number. It's a formula cabaret, right? So
Okay.
it's an upbeat walk on, and
Yeah.
then comes the big ballad. Now, by the end of that, they're in tears because I act as I sing, right?
Wow.
So then, using a deeper voice, I could make them laugh, and that was what made me famous in Scotland. But of course, I thought because I never took my face off or whatever in front around the audiences, and I thought, oh, that will keep my anonymity. Do you know by the age of 19, I couldn't go into a restaurant or a store without people saying, "Will you give me your autograph?" I was
Wow.
and also I was kind of freaked out. I'm thinking, I don't know these people. Am I signing a check? What the hell is this?
Hilarious. Wow. Are you still singing today?
Actually, I did. I'm very sick, darling. I have a spinal cord injury and
Oh
heart and
no.
kidney disease. And
Oh
each day I
no.
wake up, I thank my God and think, what can I get up to today? So that's how it
Beautiful.
works.
Oh, I'm
I
so
get, I,
sorry. Wait,
don't
what's
be.
happening with your health? Like, do you think that this was related to hormonal usage or
Well, I had surgery on my spine when I was 18 because
okay.
a boy in school shoved his compass needles aiming for my ass, but actually he pierced the dura of my spine. I had to hide the wound from my very strict grandfather. And 3 years later, my grandmother and I were alone in the house. The rest of the family had gone to a holiday place, and we loved each other. We were really close, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And my grandmother decided one day, I'll do a wee washing so that when I come home, my clothes would be done. Well, I came home that day. It was summer. Coming into spring, and I remember I had gotten her something to eat that she liked. And there she was in the hallway behind the front door with my underwear in her hands. And she
Mhm.
said, "What is this?" And I said, "I can't tell you because you'll tell my grandfather. And if that happens, he'll give me hell." She said, "Okay." And she closed the front door and locked it. She
Mhm.
said, "You don't leave this house until I see what's going on."
Wow.
I said, "I can't show you. I can't. It's not in a good place, Nana."
Right.
Well, she said, "I've seen your bare ass when you were a baby. It can't be much different now." The abscess, what started as a pinprick, had formed an abscess that I could place two fingers
Oh.
inside, and it would kind of seal over, but maybe a jolt in a bus or something like that would open it up, and
Oh
that
my
was
god.
the mess on my underwear. And the night I met Richard, I told him that I had delayed the surgery for it until after my finals at the college, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And actually, that's when Richard showed his hand, right? The
Yeah.
reason being, he saw that I was being abused in the hospital by the staff. I woke up from the anaesthetic in a male ward, looking like this,
Oh my god.
and right, and the staff were saying one to the other as I woke up, "What the hell is it?"
Oh
So
god.
you right, and when I told them they were being cruel to me, well, by that point, I met him in Valentine's night, and this was in May. And he gave me a ring, and he told me I was his and his alone. I would never know another man.
Wow.
And he rescued me.
Wow.
That's why I love him so much.
Right. I hear that. And I think that, you know, Richard clearly has struggled with some of his own stuff. So it's not
Yeah.
necessarily all about the situation with you. So yeah, I think that most important for me is that you were happy. Whatever amount of time you had to, I have a fly, whatever amount of time you had with him, it feels to me like it was a positive, great time for you and that you valued it.
10 times more than you could expect.
That's
And
that's all that matters.
That
Yeah.
is, unfortunately, I was never loved since. So
Oh,
I've
breaking
lived,
my heart.
I lived for 40 years as his widow. Sex, sure, but love, never.
But different, totally different. Yeah, completely.
And what I say to the young ones is that's what your life will be. Oh, you'll get so much sex, just don't tell anybody. That's how it works.
That's right. They don't get it because now everything is on the internet. Woo, trans joy, trans this, trans. It's false. It's false, false, false because we're not trans. We have a medical condition called gender dysphoria that we fixed using medical. We live as men and women, blah, blah, blah. We're not, this is I see the manipulation, Claudia. I see it all. I see how they're using words to make this look fun and that you're going to have an amazing, what happens in 5 years when there's no more TikTok or X or a trans, what do you think is going to happen to all these trans kids?
What I foresee many suicides. I foresee many broken lives, and I think that not many will survive mentally very well.
Yeah.
That's the most important part too, isn't it?
I agree with you. And and as you know, today all we talk about is trans kids will kill themselves if they don't transition. And I'm like, you know, it's the opposite, just so you know.
Yes.
You are
yes.
bringing these kids into a space of dysphoria. These kids don't have dysphoria. They're creating dysphoria for these kids.
That's
so
correct.
It's false. And then when they realize they don't have, I mean, you know, I interview a lot of detransitioners and they all have this one common thread that I've noticed myself through all of the stories of why they thought they were trans and why they went through that and then why they realized it was because they did not have mental health care. They just were immediately affirmed that they were trans. That was it. And they're not.
No. Do you know Scott Nugent, whom Scott and I we found ourselves on Twitter as it was. I was doing this in England saying, for God's sake, stop hurting the children.
Yeah.
And of course, Scott and I buddied up. I'm not sure he's talking to me at the moment because he asked me for some words at a meeting, but I had been hospitalized. So I wasn't able to. But I love Scott Nugent and I admire his passion.
Me too.
And he's done more good for trans children, I think, than anyone in this world.
That's right. 100%. He's my brother. I totally back that guy. He's stepping up, which is what only thing I ask of this community is step up. We have something very bad going on here. And if you actually care about the trans community, you will step up and be honest. Scott's being honest. That penis surgery he got destroyed his life. And we're doing that to young people. Me and him have proof. I almost died from vaginal atrophy because nobody told me the hormones were going to destroy my body. And I'm telling the young kids this and they're laughing at me and Scott like we're trying to do something bad. That's where I know, Claudia, that I keep saying it's cult-like because why would you laugh at us?
I mean, do you know something? I think it's willful ignorance, actually.
There you go.
It really is.
It is.
And about my health as far as transing is concerned, well, I already had an injury. But I developed degenerative spinal disc disease.
Oh, no.
And it's gotten so bad that I can't sit upright for more than 20 minutes.
Oh, my God.
I'm actually speaking to you from my bed, darling. We're being very intimate.
You look gorgeous. Well, you look gorgeous. That's all that matters.
Thank you so much.
You're a beautiful woman. Seriously, you are. You look great, and I know that that's just a thing. But you look amazing, and I'm so sorry. Your health. Do you think that health,
Oh
degenerate?
yeah,
That's from the
absolutely.
hormones, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. And
Absolutely.
and also I carry the same infection that Scott Nugent does.
What? Wait, did you? I'm sorry if this is too personal, but did you also have bottom surgery?
Of course I did. That's what Richard wanted me to do. I had bottom surgery before I had my bosom enhanced.
Wow. Wow.
Right?
Was that the doctor who just sort of pushed you through, or was that a
That's it.
different?
You look great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had it way back in the day. So
The 25th of March 1986.
did you, so tell me, have you had complications with it, or was it just, oh,
Yes. Yes. Terrible,
complicated,
terrible
terrible
problems
complications?
inside. I,
Oh,
um, I can't say any more than that, darling,
that's
but
okay. That's okay.
so bad.
I respect that. That's why I asked if it was too personal. But I think thank you for being honest about that.
Oh
Because
yeah,
again,
and my spinal cord injury, which worsened in 2007, means that I lost the ability to pass water. This condition is called cauda equina. So
what?
I'm sitting on my hoo-ha that won't fuck and it won't pee.
Oh
Great.
my God. What? But
And the
what?
children don't know these things.
They don't know because the transgender community hides all this shit because the people who are running this community, Claudia, aren't me and you. They're the people who are men changing to women and staying married to their wives and forcing their wives to accept them as women and having children. They're selfish. Those are the Now, I have no issue with somebody being AGP, or I don't have any issue with any of that. They're just not transsexual. They're a fetishizing women, and then they're
Yes.
bringing it over into this trans space, and they're the ones blocking me and you from having these actual, real conversations that me and you actually have lived longer than all of those people as trans people. You would think that they would want to hear from us or your story. You would think that.
Well, Julie Bindel approached me in June and asked if I could talk to her because of the problems with the psychiatrist I told you about.
Yes.
So from
Yeah.
2003 until 2007, Julie wrote a series of articles outlining what had happened to me and its consequences. And
Oh,
and Julie and Harriet, her wife, is a wonderful woman. Harriet is one of the greatest
yeah.
civil rights lawyers in Britain.
Yeah.
And they turned a victim not only into a survivor, but a
Right.
warrior. Either that
Wow.
or I couldn't do this.
That's right. That's right.
That's
You
it.
are. You're 100% that, my friend. I love Julie. A lot of people will be like, I can't believe you're talking to Julie. She respects me. Like, I understand that she's not okay with my past life of pornography and all of that, but me and her created a relationship. And that's all I care about because that's how me and you are going to be able to walk the world free. We don't have to walk.
That's it.
I always say we don't have to walk on the same side of the street, me and Julie. We can walk on the opposite sides and say hi to each other and keep going. That's what I'm trying to make happen here is that people don't have to hate you and I for being transsexuals, but they do
No.
because we have crazy people insisting they're trans when they're not. They're fetishizing this space, and they're misogynists who are misogynists towards the women out there. Well,
Yes.
and they're mean and nasty, and they don't care about having a healthy space. They care about dominating women, and I think many of them actually hate women so much that they want to be them.
Oh, I think that too. Have you
Yeah,
noticed that the men who harass women at women's meetings, first of all, they're men.
that's
And
right.
what it's about is actually intimidating women. It's got
That's right.
nothing to do with anything else.
Nothing, nothing. Never has our community been so mean towards women, ever. Never did they want to redefine the word woman. Never did they ever. You just said it. You're like, I'm not going to disrespect women. I'm transsexual. You are what an actual transsexual male to female is somebody who respects women, understands that you're not a woman, that you come from a biological male space. It's so
Sure.
simple. And you have that energy. You have that beautiful old school trans woman energy that is respectful. You just want to be part of the world. You don't want to hurt anybody. That you are what I want to expose to the world. You, if we don't have more people like you standing up, we're going to lose our space, because women, I bet tons of women love you, Claudia, because you're such a beautiful soul. I can tell. I can
The
tell.
women who know me love me, but
That's what I mean.
unfortunately on X, I get it in the neck from women a lot.
Well, I get it too. Those are the
Yeah.
people that they're just never gonna like us. They think, well, because
No.
they think because of us that the kids are doing this. That's what they think, and they don't.
I didn't know that.
That's what they think. They think me and you, by putting ourselves out there, that we're encouraging children and young people to transition. When we're the opposite of that. We're actually saying no, don't do it. But they don't see that. They see us as
No.
a sort of part of the problem. They don't see us as part of the solution, which we're part
And
of the
that's what we
solution.
should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are, Claudia. Yes.
That's clever what you just said. I hadn't thought about it before.
Yeah, and that's why they're making a mistake by hating us, because they don't realize that we're actually on, for lack of a better word, their side. I'm not taking sides, but I'm taking the side of reality, as you are.
Yes.
You're clearly
mean,
based in reality. Look at you.
Yeah. I never thought for 1 minute I was a woman. I knew I was a boy who was crap at being a boy. And you know, when I got to 25 and I said to Richard, "Do you think I've stopped growing?" And he said, "Sure, right."
Mhm.
And
I lost your
then
pic there. Okay.
it's okay. And my
Yeah.
phone's going to die in a minute, so I
Okay.
can't stay
Okay.
with you very
Yeah,
long.
yeah. No, we'll
But
just finish up. Yeah. Yeah.
but listen, if you ever need me or want me, all you
I
have to
do.
do is say,
I do.
"Yeah,
I need you.
thank you, thank you so much."
Oh my gosh,
Thank
Claudia,
you.
anything you need from me, honestly, please reach out. I can help you in any way, shape, or form. I'm connected to lots of different kinds of people, as you are, I'm sure. But now we're connected. I just really, my heart swells for you. I just,
And mine
do you
swells for you.
say, what is there anything you'd want to say before we leave here that you want to say to the world or to kids or to anybody? What would be your message?
For parents, please, please do not be deceived by this. It is done for profit for what Scott calls big pharma. And what they are doing are butchering their children and turning them into patients for the rest of their lives. And I say to the parents, for God's sake, don't do it. And that's really the most important thing.
You are a beautiful human. You will save so many kids. You will help so many parents. You, my friend, I'm going to throw so much love at you as all of the people. All the people in the comments, please, you've got to send Claudia tons of love, because she stepped up. And now we're building a powerhouse full of information. So
We really are.
thank you. You're so beautiful. Like, subscribe, send this to people, send this to parents, send this to a young person who doesn't understand what they're doing. And me and you together, all of us are going to help get this space back to a healthy thing. I'll see you guys all on Wednesday.